yeah, it's been a big learning curve. So from 5 years ago of the knowledge which I had 5 years ago, and I had a lot then, I've definitely gained a lot more experience and extra knowledge that I never thought I could possibly do, to be honest. And sometimes I look back and wonder how the hell I've done it. But I have.
Glamping and unique holiday rentals are surging in popularity with the growing desire of customers to book holidays that deliver an experience. They are also the new business of choice for those wanting to improve their work-life balance. So how do you build a strong business like this that gives you the life you need and a great investment? I'm Sarah Riley, and I want to share what I've discovered after being immersed in this industry for over 20 years to inspire you to find out more about what's going on. Welcome, this is the business of glamping and unique holiday rentals. Kerry, thank you so much for joining me today. It's fantastic because I know that you have been talked about so much in the industry as somebody who's really prepared to share things behind the scenes that most other business owners are not. And I know from a few of the people that I've put you in contact with that they have talked about how knowledgeable you are and how generous you are with that knowledge. So it's really, really nice for you to be here. But for people who don't know you, introduce yourself and say a little bit about where you've come from and what you're doing now and what your glamping site is.
Okay, so I'm Kerry Roy, and some of you may have seen me on various TV programs of my business here in Italy and previously at Camp Couture in the UK. So I came into the industry in 2012 and I set up from scratch one of the largest at the time glamping sites in the north of England, which was Camp Couture. And from that, we did a lot of diversification into weddings, events and festivals as well, with a really good team behind me, which was key to be able to obviously develop and grow over time. Then I'm trying to think, what was it now? 2007, I was itching to sort of do something a little bit smaller and more of a intimate glamping, more of a retreat-based glamping resort. So we decided to move over and venture into Italy because at the time Italy was very, very small on the glamping side, and it still is. It's it's building up now, but obviously it's kind of where we were in the UK 10 years ago on the glamping. So from 2007, I've been busy setting up all of the first domes in the area for Italy and getting the glamping retreat started, obviously through the times of COVID and all of the upheaval that's happened over the past few years, and obviously coming into a market and a country where I had zero language skills, separated with my partner at the time, and just got on with it and got my head down and have managed to do it and made a success of it. So yeah, it's been a big learning curve. So from 5 years ago of the knowledge which I had 5 years ago, and I had a lot then, I've definitely gained a lot more experience and extra knowledge that I never thought I could possibly do, to be honest. And sometimes I look back and wonder how the hell I've done it. But I have. And I've really found my passion after many years of stress in this. No, do you know what, glamping, it's a great industry to work in, and I think you either create yourself a job and a family type business in it, or you create yourself an entrepreneurial business. And I'm definitely more of an entrepreneurial spirit, so I love the creating it, I love building it up and getting the right staff in the right place to do, you know, sometimes the job better than me. And then I like to keep sort of building the business and designing the business, the strategic side of it, and not just stay stagnant, so to speak. So, you know, we all have our own reasons to come into business, and mine was always to do business, not just that change of lifestyle.
So tell me a bit about the area where you've ended up in Italy.
We are in Abruzzo, which is a beautiful area. It's actually just 2 hours east of Rome on the Adriatic coast, and not many people know of it. It's kind of a secret region, just because of the marketing from the Italian government here isn't very good, so therefore many people don't know about it. But it's right near the mountains, the Apennine Mountains, and the Adriatic Seas, which is beautiful. So I'm 20-30 minutes max to the beach and 40 minutes into the mountains, and we've got winter ski resorts nearby and obviously all the summer sports. So for me, the attraction was the location because of the all year round sport activities, as I am an adventure girl when I have my free time, and also to be able to blend it in well really with the retreat side. You know, a retreat is about being in nature, and this place is perfect. It's a little paradise that people don't know about, which has everything to offer for anybody who loves the outdoors or just wants to get away and escape the normality, especially those who are living in the city, or want to, you know, or just at the beginning of starting to become a more of an adventurous person. A lot of people crave it, but they just don't know where to go or how to get there. So it's something that we are now this year starting to offer again, because unfortunately with COVID we couldn't have the groups at the time. And that is something that I've always strived towards for this side of the business here.
It's something that I've actually always wanted to do, is to find a perfect location in between the beach and the mountains, so you can just go from one to the other and have the best of both worlds. I mean, it sounds idyllic.
This time of year, now we're in March, at the end of March, and down where I am, the temperature the other day was 24 degrees. Today it's about 20. But if I wanted to this afternoon, I could get my ski stuff on and I could go up to the mountains and ski. This time of year, you can literally ski in the morning and then be on the beach in the afternoon sunbathing. And within an hour's drive of each other. It's there's not many places in Europe that you can do that.
No, absolutely. Do you think this is why you mentioned earlier about the TV and being featured in the television series? Do you think this is why they chose your location to cover your business? And you've actually been featured all the way through the most recent series, and they even did a review of how you're doing now just recently. I mean, tell me a little bit about that. And it's called The New Life in the Sun, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So, I mean, I was fortunate to be, I think I calculated now, I've been on 12 different programs since doing Glamping. So we was fortunate in the UK to have various programs filming us. And then this opportunity then came up in Italy. And because I've always got so much going on and I don't stop with my projects, they wanted to continue filming and still want to continue filming, you know, what's going on in the future. Because one, glamping is new to here, so it's not just a bed and breakfast, so it's a little bit more interesting, I guess, for the viewers. And also I think, you know, being a solo female entrepreneur, so to speak, was a target for them. And the fact that it is a beautiful area, and they wanted to sort of showcase it more, because one of the problems, I think the program has now been running for just over 10 years, but a lot of people were getting bored of just Spain, Portugal and France, because for 10 years that's the only areas that they've really filmed. So I was lucky that at that time it was the first year that they were actually looking for new locations to sort of mix it up and spice the program up a little bit. And yeah, fortunately now I think this is coming into the 5th year. They're due back to film again this year. So it'll be 5 years now that I've managed to. So I'm the second longest, apparently, that they've filmed for. So,
that's quite, it's a claim to fame if ever I've heard one. But most people wouldn't do what you've done. And so what on earth gives you that kind of motivation and confidence to push yourself forward into situations that probably, I'm sure you feel quite uncomfortable with at times. I mean, it's can't be easy having a TV camera in your face while you're operating a business. I mean, what would you say that is the thing that has sparked you and made you go forward with that?
One was because obviously it is a key marketing angle, and but unfortunately the first year that we did it, obviously because it is only marketed to the Brits, we couldn't get the British here, so we had a hell of a lot of requests, but nobody could fly here at the time. So I feel like we lost a lot of opportunity there with potential British bookings. However, we have done really well with the Italian bookings. So it has continued to keep interest. And then I tended to get a lot of people just coming to me for business advice, but unfortunately I don't have the time to just, give out business advice because of all the work that we have to do here. And I think to inspire people as well. And the most thing I've loved from it is people contacting me, couples, women, teenagers apparently that have watched the program with the parents never watched it, that felt inspired that there's no limit to what you can do really if you put your mind to it and you have the grit of determination. And trust me, I have reached my limit doing this one. I really have at times reached my limit, especially in a foreign country, in the bureaucracy, the staff mentality is all so different to what is in the UK. But I wouldn't give up, and now I've come out of that, and if anything, I've got more drive and passion, and I've learned a lot from it. And there's one thing I always push with my team is, don't say no. Just some people's limitations, it's just a mindset, but we can all do it. We can all push if you've got that passion. I do believe obviously the passion is a big thing. I mean, you may have seen one program series where I opened the restaurant, and I knew when going into that I did not want a restaurant. In my gut I just thought, this is not my passion, but I did it in a panic because we'd had COVID. I don't like to put all my eggs in one basket. It was another avenue, and as soon as I did it I just realized that I'm really struggling to find the passion and keep the motivation up for it. So I just ditched it. And I've been there and tried it, but it's not what I want to do.
Yeah, but you learned so much from that, didn't you? And actually you've grown, because now you're using that whole restaurant vibe and you're just giving it out to someone else to run it for you.
Yeah, and then that's always been my strategy really here. I mean, obviously I came here with my ex, so the plans originally were that we'd just be in it together and do it as a nice little quiet business. And then obviously, my business Camp Couture in the UK, I rented the land there for almost 10 years. So I was paying a lot of money for rental. And then here I own the property and I own the land, and it's got various divisions in it now that I can rent out. So I've created the Glamping. Once my whole return on investment is returned from the Glamping, I plan to then either lease out the Glamping business, as it'll be limited, or sell it, and then the new owner will pay me the rental. And same with the restaurant. The chef now, we're just doing the contracts at the moment for him to now take on the restaurant side. So he'll manage that. I've not got the responsibility. Obviously, I'm there to advise and help, but it means it's another passive income for me. So what I'm doing really is setting up a business, an asset that I know I can always have a passive income from and move on to, the next project.
So you're kind of valuing your time more than the turnover.
Yeah, for me, because definitely. As long as because I know that maybe I'll sell the whole place one day and make a profit on it, or maybe in 20 years' time it might just become a retirement home or a holiday let. I've got a property that gives me a lot of opportunity to still always earn money and never have to go and work for somebody else again, hopefully. That's my I think my two motivations in life, I love business. I do. I studied business from a young age, so it's my passion, and it's just to make sure that I have something that's mine when you're in your 50s and your 60s, and nobody can take it away from you no matter what. And a passive income. For me now, I'm striving towards the passive income.
So you're in the industry, you've been in the industry for many years, you're very much an expert, you're seen as one of the kind of original business entrepreneurs in glamping. To somebody who's coming in, who's new and who's maybe thinking about investing money and setting up a business and doing something a bit different, maybe playing on what people like yourself have been able to build up so far, but maybe introducing their own kind of unique vibe. What would you say to them about the state of the industry at the moment, and where it's going, or where you see it might be going in the future?
I think compared to when I started out in 2012, the setup costs now is a lot more. I mean, I actually set up Camp Couture with very little, but then initially for the first year, but then I kept investing and reinvesting, and that's what I've always done. I'm always reinvesting for, a good sort of 5 years into my business, really, to make sure it gets to where I want it to be. But it's definitely a lot more expensive these days to do it. Obviously, the competition is greater, so you've got to have something special, or you've got to be in a good location. I think that's the key, because I know, especially in the UK, we had the boom more so after COVID. I mean, it was growing anyway, very much so before COVID. But then post-COVID, we had such a boom that I remember seeing some locations that I just thought, what is going through that person's mind? That is just crazy location. One was on the side of the, I think it was the M18, like the Hull to Manchester motorway. And I remember there once seeing pods right on the side of the busy motorway.
Yeah.
And I just thought, you've got to know. I mean, it's okay, there's glamping and some people set it up and just think, right, I'm going to get a quick buck. To be sustainable, now that the industry is so competitive, you really have to know the location, people where they need to be near restaurants, bars, other activities, walks, whatever to offer, not just accommodation. Or offer another package within that, whether it's well-being or art or crafts and creating, that you're marketing to a specialized target audience, or putting in events and only doing events and weddings, which can be a nice good income, because otherwise it could be a slow process. But again, it depends, as I said before, what kind of business people want. If they just want 1 or 2 cabins and it's a little bit of pocket money, then it's a good industry now to work in. But if they want to set up and be big and keep growing and expect to be sort of full occupancy, or at least 80%, I really think you've got to offer something special. And what I have found in the industry is, more so really here in Italy, is some of the prices that people are charging for basic interiors is quite shocking. And that's, even I look at some now and I compare and think, and why are people paying that? I mean, at least pay a little bit more for your interiors and style them up like you would in a hotel, and people will keep coming, because otherwise you're going to get a one-hit wonder guests and they won't come again. But there's still a lot of potential also, because I think, as we've read, a lot of this from post-COVID, there was 20% increase, if not more now, of people holidaying in nature in the mountains, and people are really wanting that. The generation Gen Z and the millennials, they're all about experiences over things. Therefore, they want something that's unique and Instagrammable still, or TikTok is it nowadays more. So there is definitely still room in the market, but just don't be a copycat, I think, if you want to really make it successful and sustainable. I think sometimes you don't need to be big. You can be small, but be high quality, and you can actually charge out more for your rooms and gain the same kind of income as what you could as a competitor that's double in size with that costs.
I think so, and I think you're right about the research that was done quite a few years ago now. I think it was Eventbrite that did it, was around the expectations of those different millennial groups and Gen Z and everything else on what they would expect from their holidays or their vacations or when they're booking a break. And it's definitely around experience. And that's what glamping was so good at providing, an experience. And way back when glamping started as an industry, it was an experience just to go and camp in a tent that looked a bit different, that looked a bit luxurious, that you didn't actually have to take to the campsite yourself, but someone would set it up for you. And so that was considered glamping, and it was a real experience. But now that experience has shifted. And there's so much of that now. People have their own glamping tents and they go camping with their own glamping tents. So why would they pay a silly amount of money to stay in someone else's glamping tent that isn't nicely furnished inside and isn't styled nicely, so that they're, you know, able to do a bit of self-branding on TikTok and Instagram and all of that kind of stuff? So I think you're absolutely right that that's where people can stand out from the crowd and be different without, keeping their customers happy without breaking the bank, but being a bit clever about how they think about it and what they set up, and being different and looking at what everyone else is doing like yourself, not copying it, but building on it and emulating it and introducing their own version, so that they're not just jumping on everyone else's coattails. But what would you say to someone who's thinking of changing countries to set something up? Because maybe in their country it's a bit over competitive, there's not that much land, or maybe the land's very expensive. What would you say to someone who's thinking of doing what you did, which was leaving the UK, setting something up completely from scratch on your own in Italy?
Gosh, there's a lot I could say. One is, do not go in it with rose-tinted glasses. Be prepared that it is going to be challenging, and it will challenge you more than you think, or it's at least more so than any business that you've done in the UK, because you're dealing with language barriers, you're dealing with a difference in culture and mentality, the bureaucracy, which is very tangled and twisted. That's obviously more in Italy, but I've heard it's very much like that in France and sometimes in Spain. Depending on your countries, you need to make some friends. I mean, I for the first few months here, I didn't know anybody, and I just had to throw myself out there and reach out and just start to ask questions. I've got 400 olive trees. I've no idea back then what to do with the olive trees. So you start networking and making contacts, and it's amazing how many people will come to and help you. Always just make sure that you're getting the right type of contractors to work with you. A big thing that I hear amongst a lot of expats, and also I've had it myself, is contractors and builders and plumbers and all of that, they're not quick to give you a quotation before the work. They often like to give you the price after the work, and that can become obviously very, very expensive. You need to be strong, because what I found is a lot of the time I've been pushed into a direction which has been the wrong direction, because obviously I have been here before by doing Camp Couture, and I know a lot of groundworks and infrastructure, but I started to get swayed into their way of thinking, and actually ended up costing me double in work and double in time, because it wasn't right for my actual business. So stand your ground, because remember that person that you're contracting hasn't been there doing the work that you're doing. And yeah, try to learn a language. Try to learn a language. It will make it a lot easier. And definitely understand the taxes and the bureaucracy and the whole setup of a business from the administration side. I mean, I read a lot about Italy before I came, obviously with the taxes and how to try and set up a business officially here. But one thing I hadn't read until we'd moved here was about contractual laws and employment. And I have to say, if I'd have read that and understood now what I know now about taking on employers here, I probably would not have chosen this country. So unless you're going to go there and again just do it as a family business where you don't need to employ anyone, and you don't want to grow it, because if you grow it you need staff, then you really need to look at the laws and policies around employment laws, because that here is, it's quite worrying at times.
Great advice, fantastic advice. And I think people are more looking for that kind of advice now, because, you know, from people who've actually done it, they've actually stepped outside of the comfort zone and they've gone to another country. And it's easy enough to say that's what I fancy doing, because look at the land, look at the buildings, it's so much cheaper than my country. But if you really dive deep into as you said, the bureaucracy and everything else that's going to really influence your business, it can look a little bit less attractive, or it certainly a bit of preparation needs to be done. So you are somebody who loves to share advice, you're really generous with that, and you also love to network and kind of know people in the industry, move around, you know, make contacts, all that kind of really good stuff. And the last time I saw you was at the Eco Resort Network. We were both having a bit of a workation over there, which is, it was in Slovenia last time, and it was amazing. What did you think of all of that?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, again, I was just at that point, at that moment in my life and business, it was probably, you know, it was quite tough. And for me to come and meet people again who are in the industry, especially because obviously we'd all had COVID as well. So, you know, business can be quite lonely at times. So to get together with other experts in the industry and just have just a great time and all relax, it was super relaxing. You know, there was no commercial type feeling about it. It was just like making new friends, but it was inspiring. I loved just being able to hear other people's stories and their pains. You know, the fact is that sometimes you can feel like you're so alone, or you're making so many wrong choices, or there's no one, as an owner, there's nobody else to ask. Sometimes you're the one that everybody's asking. So when you're in that kind of environment, to be able to ask each other and advise each other and realize that most of us have all actually gone through exactly the same challenges, exactly the same problems, a lot of the same successes. It definitely lifted the spirits and revitalizes the passion for the work.
I mean, the location was incredible. I'd have to say the organizers did an outstanding job.
They did great, because it was the first one as well, and I think, you know, they were surprised how well it had gone. But yeah, I think Steph and Maya, they definitely know how to choose the best locations to attract us all there.
Yeah, absolutely. And from my understanding and also from my experience, most people who attended came away with definitely new contacts, that goes without saying, but also new projects. And, you know, it's incredible to think that it's such a tiny investment to make in a event like that. If you come away with new business, a new business focus or a new business deal, it's incredible. And one of the people actually from my own networks who attended, we were chatting at the event, and he was saying that he thought he knew so much before he went there, and then when he went there, he just had his mind blown by everything that he learned, and that, you know, the contacts he made, and he just said he really felt inspired by that. He felt that before then he thought he'd done as much as he needed to do, and he was growing as big as he would ever grow, but his mind, he just shifted and saw that there was so much more, there's so many other directions he could take, and he was just full of just so much business entrepreneurial spirit. You know, it was just amazing.
Because that's the thing, you know, like when you've been in the industry, when you come into it, you're always, you know, you're on fire, you're passionate, and then after so many years or several years, or I mean, some people have been in the industry that event 20, 30 years, you know, they've got a lot that they can learn, that we can learn from, but complacency can be a killer, and complacency just in even your entrepreneurial mindset. And like you say, going to an event like that, it really does, it reshifts your way of thinking and definitely regains the passions. And I think what was lovely as well, there was no arrogance. I mean, I come from a commercial industry background previous to glamping, and there can be a bit of, oh, look at me, I'm better than you, or people not wanting to share the knowledge and information in case you're going to steal it and all the rest of it. But here, the people are from all over the world, and it was just, friendly, helpful, and there was none of that kind of crappy commercial type industry feeling that make me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's incredibly supportive, I would have to say. It was definitely my event of the industry. There's a lot of good events in this industry, but this is, I would say, it surprised me how good it was, and it really was so good. So as soon as they told me about the next one, I was onto the case immediately. So I booked my ticket and I'm going to be there.
Me too. I can't wait, because this is the thing. It's not just it's a holiday, isn't it? So we look forward to the new location. It's Montenegro this year. Beautiful settings, and I think great events that they put on as well. And then also combining it, we're going to another see another site and get inspiration from that. But yeah, for me now, it's kind of on my calendar of my annual holiday. And I like to wear, like last year as well, we just turned it into a holiday. So a week before or a week after, I just extend it as a holiday and do the event at the same time.
Yeah, brilliant. Actually, I will share at the end. I've got a bit of a discount I can share with listeners if anyone else wants to join us there. It really is incredible. So I'll make sure I'll drop that in at the end.
Definitely, highly recommended for anybody in the industry.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously you're going to be going there, so I'm really excited about meeting you there again. But we are actually doing a few projects together this year, which is exciting. I'm really excited by that.
Yeah.
And we've been working on that quite a lot. So explain one of those and why we've done it.
Okay, so it's kind of been on the cards, I guess, a while, but obviously, again, the last few years we're just both busy, aren't we, and other things going on. But for what is, like you say, a lot of people don't always want to share their advice and knowledge of the industry, and I feel like there is a real need for it to help other people along, so that they don't always suffer the same sort of setbacks and problems, and to inspire them, to more so inspire people who want to come into the industry. So me and Sarah are now creating and have set up the Glamping Startup and Grow Retreat, which will be later this year in October, beginning the 16th of October. And it will be a 5-day event where you will come on a retreat to Cerchio del Desiderio in Italy, in Abruzzo. So you'll be views of the mountains, near the beach if you want to visit the beach. So there'll be lots of fun. There'll be various activities, but there will be a lot of information sharing. And Sarah is going to be there to obviously do a lot of the consultancy side and give a lot of her knowledge in the industry, which she's got many years of, and often still gives me good advice. And also for me, from my side of things, I want to be able to share with people, different tenancy agreements. I've got documents that I can share that I would only share to people coming on this event, financial gains and highs and lows within the industry, various health and safety laws, especially when you employ staff. People don't realise a lot of things change when you have 5 staff and above, and how that can affect a lot of the paperwork and all of that kind of boring extra commitment that you have to do on the admin side. So I've got a lot of tools that I will distribute as well to those already in the industry, or those that are coming into the industry, which will save them a lot of time. and we're going to do some on-the-job training. So not that people that are already in the industry need training, but them saying that, as somebody who's been in the industry 12 years now myself, you never stop learning. You should never stop learning, and you should never stop taking advice. And what you do in your own business, somebody else will do different in their business. And from that, we can all just pick up little pieces to learn from each other that we can then incorporate to offer an even better service and even better, higher standards. So again, it'll be networking, it'll be meeting other people. There'll be a lot of stories to be shared, a lot of quality time and free time, but it will be very much almost like a glamping school of training and knowledge and actual tools that I've used, including tenancy contracts that I've had when I was doing the land rental, which I know I do see some people always asking how to do that legally within the industry as well.
I think so, when we kind of came up with this idea and we were developing the idea, we were thinking more around the fact that both of us are asked so often, how do you do this? How do you do that? And you just can't give people the time individually to, all that information, because it just takes so much time. And I think there's so many things that people don't think about as well when they haven't got the business in front of them, or maybe they've never set up a business yet, or maybe they have one but it's early days, or maybe they've been in it for a while. But for those who are really starting at the beginning, they really don't know what they don't know until it's pointed out to them, until it's shown to them, until they kind of have that discovery. And I think we were saying that that's what we wanted most of all, was people could see an operating site, they could ask questions about, even down to the finer detail of what's the best linen, what cleans the best, what gets rid of stains, all of those things. But also, how quickly do you need to employ staff to be able to grow to this size of business that I'm thinking of? Or how do you find land to be able to do the things that I'm thinking of? And there's so much that we can talk about. And I think two things for me is, one, if people come on this retreat, they can design and request the information that they actually want to receive, which is fabulous, because between us, we've got so many years experience that we can actually deliver any request, really. But also that whole workation thing, and we've talked about it previously on an episode that we've done here on the podcast about how important it is for entrepreneurs and people in business to really focus on their mental health and their mental well-being, because it can actually be really stressful to start a new business. You're second guessing yourself all the time, you're lacking in confidence and self-esteem. And actually to be able to go to a supportive group, which will continue probably to be a supportive group at the end of the retreat, it will continue, to meet in an online virtual way after that, is just incredible. And I think so many people lack that interaction with people who can support them in that way. And we've also talked about the fact that this may just be the only time we do it. So I think it's an opportunity not to be missed by somebody who's really desperate for that confidence building and knowledge building. But one thing I'm really excited about sharing, because not only do we have horse riding and massage and all kinds of other amazing things, I'm really excited to share my stress and anxiety busting toolkit that I've used. So over the years of
hear that
of standing on stage and things like that I've done, speaking to rooms of hundreds of people, setting up new projects from scratch, and basically starting things that have never been started before. That's really anxiety and stress building. And over the years, I've managed to, build some incredible, which I think probably might make your eyes boggle, Kerry, when you find out what they are. But I want to share these with people in a setting that is, has beautiful views, is warm and, supportive, surrounded by friends, all trying to achieve the same thing. And to be able to go away, for me to share that toolkit, and for people to be able to go away with that toolkit and then use it to help them in their setup process for me will be incredibly rewarding. So that's kind of part of the thing that I want to make happen as a result of this retreat, is to give the operators, the people who are really, you know, making it happen on the ground, the opportunity to learn from people like yourself, but also take these toolkits away to make their life easier, you know.
Absolutely. And it is all about, you know, like you say, time. And we've had conversations about this before. Time is my biggest asset. You know, you can't buy back time. And this kind of industry has so many variations. It is a 24/7 type business, especially one in the seasons that you're open, and especially those that are open all year. So to be able to be focused, less distracted, and be able to have these tools given that is going to just save them time, and that they don't have to go out there and try and hunt for it or find out what's right themselves. They can literally copy it and stick their own logo on. Is it's priceless, really, to have that. And again, we came into it when the industry was quite new, so we've had to set up systems. You know, I was surprised how many systems I had, especially at Camp Couture. Because we have such strict, you know, health and safety laws and employment laws, that you have to have these systems in place. And, you know, one will be a story that I share of how disastrous it can be if you don't have these systems in place, because it could actually kill your business financially. So there's so much. And I must say, I just, like you, we just want to help inspire and guide people, because there's not enough of it sometimes. I think it's easy for a lot of business owners just to go into their shell, or not want to share the information. But for me, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that sometimes people operate from this place of scarcity. They're a little bit afraid that if they share the information, then, you know, that's going to be detrimental to their own business because there's only a limited number of customers. But I don't believe that at all. I'm so passionate about marketing and about finding people. Even if they're, you know, the market isn't there, you can create the market. I've done that in my life. So I know it's possible. I know it can be done, and I know the steps that make it happen. So I think coming from a place of scarcity is definitely the wrong place to be, and being generous and sharing knowledge is the way forward. And I hope people really take, you know, example from you and hopefully me as well in doing that, because I think this industry needs to be and should continue to be a positive, supportive industry. I really would hate for it to go down that commercial route of backstabbing and overselling and over marketing and all that kind of stuff.
Well, this is it. A lot of people that have come into the glamping industry, they've come into it for that kind of change of lifestyle, to get out of the corporate world or the grind and that kind of backstabbing industry. So yeah, I'm the same. I really hope it doesn't. And I think by doing this, hopefully we can keep it a safe, warm, sort of friendly type feeling place between us. And, you know, your competitors can also become your friends at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think that, you know, this is something you strive by example, don't you? And so I think you really do achieve that. And I think it's fantastic. And I can't really wait at all to be involved in this project. It's October, which is a bit of a shame. It's so far away, but with everyone's schedules and everything we've got for the year, it's the only time we could really fit in. But the weather in October is still really lovely over there, isn't it?
Oh, it's great. Well, October is normally around 20s, early 20s, and then we have the olive harvest as well. So you'll see the traditional way of all the Italians trimming their bushes around the area and having their Italian lunches and breakfast liqueurs. So yeah, I might hopefully I can throw in a little surprise, and we'll go off and not only do wine tasting, but we'll go to one of the local olive production places to show people how the olive oil is actually made as well. And I think we do have another little surprise by a very special guest, which we can announce at a later date during the course of the process as well.
And yeah, I definitely think that it might be worth mentioning that there might be a TV crew around. Is that worth mentioning?
Yes, no, they do work. So New Life in the Sun, they do want to film it as well. So if people are happy to be filmed, then then obviously people don't need to worry. The camera won't be in their face. You won't even realise they're there. They'll be in the background. But anybody who does want to join and book onto the course, who doesn't want to be filmed, they can opt out of it and sign a consent form, and the film crew will make sure that they're not in any of the series. So just because you book it doesn't mean you have to. So anybody that's camera shy, do not worry. You don't have to be on camera.
I think it's worth mentioning, but also it's worth mentioning that if you are starting to set up your own business, you've really got to get used to standing in front of a camera or near a camera or being part of this whole TV process, because some of the businesses that have launched the quickest and had the most success have been the ones that have been working with the relevant lifestyle kind of TV programs at the moment that we're finding around the world that everyone's really interested in. So, you know, what better time to do it is when you're at a retreat, you're really relaxed and you're gaining knowledge, but you're also getting a little bit of media training in how it's all done and seeing behind the scenes. And then you've also got some fantastic social media content to share.
Exactly. This is it. If you're using it on your social media, it's always a good share. So yeah, people love it, don't they? They want to know what it is and then watch it as well to see if they can spot you in the audience.
So if anybody is interested in joining Kerry and myself at our retreat, you just need to go over and have a look at inspiredcourses.com/Italy. And that will give you a complete rundown of everything that you'll get at the retreat, including all the activities, but also the glamping business knowledge and training that will be happening at the same time. We'd love you to join us. That goes without saying. I think it's going to be a really special period of time. And I cannot wait to visit your area, especially as I know that it means it's going to be a bit of, well, because I'm based in the UK, for me, it's going to be autumn sunshine and a little bit of a top up of the old tan, which for me is quite exciting.
And the Italian style with its wine, its olives, the horse riding. So yeah, I really do not bring the rain.
I'll do my best.
Please do not bring the rain with you.
I will have a word with the rain gods and I will tell them that they're not welcome just for that week.
Still, we can make it cozy. Even if it rains, we'll still have a fabulous time. So those that have already got geodomes, they know how lovely they are even in the rain. So no, I'm looking forward to it. So it's a shame it can't come around quicker, but you know, it gives us more time to be able to even think of more things to add in. So I don't think 5 days is long enough.
No, no. I think probably 2 weeks might be able to deal with the information
maybe got requests for 2 weeks in future, then we can make it.
Absolutely. Well, in the meantime, I just cannot wait to Montenegro. I'm all booked up and I cannot wait to see you there and everyone else. And yeah, really exciting year because of the various trips that we're doing. And yeah, I really look forward to that, Kerry. So I shall see you there.
Yeah, we've not got long, have we? In fact, I was doing my flights yesterday and looking at the area and I was like, oh, it's just beautiful. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you for a glass of wine and a catch up.
Yeah. Oh my goodness me. And it's on my bucket list. So I can actually tick something off my bucket list. So I'm really pleased about that.
Steph must know it's everybody's bucket list for Montenegro. So if not been to Montenegro, it's definitely the time to book.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so thank you so much, Kerry, for coming on today and sharing your knowledge, as always, about the industry and everything else in between. And we will see you very soon. You take care.
Thanks, Sarah. Speak soon. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.